Hi, I'm Anj Handa of Inspiring Women Changemakers, and I'm thrilled to have been invited by Lucy Fernandes of FAR Accountancy Training to talk about our respective leadership journeys. Hi, Lucy. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Anj. I'm Lucy Fernandes, and I'm the founder and director of FAR Accountancy Training. By background, I'm a qualified accountant. I've set up my own training companies, which I'm running now, and I also do apprenticeship training. So really happy to have you and asking me the questions on this video this afternoon. Thank you for
Thank you
being
so
here.
much for inviting me, Lucy. So, the first question I have for you is when you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
As a child, I always wanted to be a doctor. That is the dream of every other child who grows up in India.
And
My
British
reason,
Indians, by the way,
pardon?
and British born Indians as well.
Oh, well, I suppose. But my reason was to help disadvantaged people in India because there is a lot of lack of basic healthcare there, and at least there was at the time I was there, but over 20 years ago now. So this dream was soon laid to rest when I realized that I would need to dissect frogs and cockroaches while I was studying to be a doctor. I am horrified at the sight of creepy crawlies. So as a teenager, I wanted to be an air hostess. I thought it was a really glamorous job and I love to travel the world. So hence the preference. I'm glad I didn't go down that route because I am terrified at the slightest turbulence while on a flight. And yeah, so those were my dream careers. Nothing to do with accountancy, I'm afraid, and or training.
That's great. We actually share a childhood dream in that case because there were two things that I wanted to be. I also wanted to be cabin crew because I
Oh,
also love to travel and I love languages. And the other thing I wanted to be was a lawyer, which is also an Indian parent's dream job,
yes,
alongside doctor and accountant, right?
yes.
So, I'm also neither of those things, but I'm proud to say that I've been able to bring elements of those through my career. So the international travel for work, using particularly my German and living and working in Frankfurt for a few years, and throughout my change making career, using my employment law knowledge here in the UK and abroad, now charity law as well, and immigration law, which I picked up when I did a change.org campaign. So isn't that funny that we share one childhood dream? So tell me about the next bit of the journey then. What brought you to your current career as an accountant and running a training program? So not only, the accountancy side, but helping others to become accountants.
Yes, many accountants will tell you this, Ange, but it was by sheer accident that I became an accountant. I never intended to be one. I studied commerce at college and at university. I did really well, even though I wasn't interested because they were kind of easy for me. And the natural progression for somebody with my grades was to go on and become a chartered accountant. I started my training at an accounting firm, but I didn't enjoy sitting at a desk from 9 to 5, and it was just not my thing. I did complete my training though to please my parents and to show that I was doing a good job, but I didn't really enjoy what I was doing at the time, and I was naive and I was young and I was foolish. What can I say? And despite really having good grades and being like the first ranked student in my class at college and university, I didn't pass my CA exams. It was really hard work when I was trying to study as well as all the extracurricular activities that I wanted to take part in as a teenager, as a youngster. So it was devastating. But at the same time, I'm happy that I lived my life and I enjoyed those times, and I came full circle. So my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, was in the US, and he said, you know what, you're never going to use those qualifications when you move to the US, so don't bother with the exam. So that was exactly what I needed
Well,
to.
that was freedom.
It was to not study and not pass the exams. I did complete the training though with the accounting firm, and then I felt I could have done it at the time, but I just lacked the support. I lacked the motivation because I didn't have anybody to edge me on to say I could do it or just go for it and be yourself. So I think I just gave up without even getting started. And I think when I moved to the UK, my husband then convinced me. He said, you know what? You might become a charity worker, but just to convince yourself, please do the exams and pass them, which I did. I self-studied. I passed almost all but one first time. So it was, it was a doddle for me, effectively. Shouldn't say that too with all that confidence, but it was easy comparatively because I was able to put in the hours that was required. I wasn't involved in as many extracurricular activities, and I just put my head down and got started. But then I thought, I didn't enjoy being an accountant. I'm a very gregarious person with, this personality who just wants to be with people and give back to people. And as a result, I decided I'm going to start teaching accounting. And then I worked for a large training provider, and things led from one thing to another, and here I am with my own training company doing apprenticeships and helping other youngsters on that same journey, but this time holding them by the hand and telling them, you know what, you can do it. And it's not just youngsters. Apprenticeships are for everybody these days. So it's older people even who have been through that journey of mine and, come to the point where I was when I started my studying for accountancy. And I'll take them through that journey from that point in their careers, that light bulb moment that they have effectively.
What a fabulous journey. So from India to America to the UK, and all the way wanting to help people become effective accountants and sharing your leadership journey. And what I love to hear, Lucy, is that global perspective as well, because we are operating in a global marketplace. And even in the UK, here in Yorkshire, we have people from all sorts of countries, and people who look like us, who look similar to us, that maybe aren't accessing the kind of careers that they thought they could do. And particularly in my case, it's what I do through Inspiring Women Changemakers as a campaigner is, and a lobbyist, is very non-traditional. And actually I faced a fair bit of resistance, but I'm still hearing parallels in some of the things that you said, which is, gregarious, like to live life, finding that balance. You mentioned a few things around focus and having the right mentor, which are obviously things that you've factored into your business and things that I've factored in to mine as well. So what I wanted to ask you next really was that young person. So before you went to join your husband in America, what advice would you have given her back then?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I didn't join my husband in America because when I got married, we moved to the UK.
Oh,
So
I
I
see.
thought I'll just clarify that before I tell you. But yeah, so that young person, I would tell them that, don't get carried away by what you hear. Just, follow your dreams. There's no shortcut to hard work, to perseverance, because when you're young, you tend to want the easy way out. You don't want to focus on challenges. I think I would tell my 21-year-old self that, make time for challenges, work hard. Yeah. Because once you face those challenges and you meet them head on, it's ever so rewarding. It will make a complete difference in your own life and in the lives of others too. And if at that age I was still unsure about what I wanted to do, I could have got help and advice from people who were in the profession, who really cared about the profession like I do at this point in time. And I welcome any student, any professional who's thinking of changing their careers or starting their careers to come and speak to me, because it's easy for others to make a judgment on a career and say, oh, accounting is too hard or it's too boring, to then, put a youngster off that career choice. But it is an amazing career choice, and I've certainly enjoyed it all along from then till now as well.
Wow. Well, you're very passionate about it, and you're almost but not quite convincing me, because I'm equally passionate about campaigning. And I love that you talk about challenges and change. You've been through a lot of life change. For me, I think what I would tell myself as a 21-year-old is trust your gut as well, trust your intuition,
Yeah.
because often we don't do that, and we really should. So now, as a woman in her mid-40s,
Yeah.
definitely pay attention to the red flags and act very quickly.
Yeah.
I did do that when I was younger, but maybe not as fast as I do now. And okay, that intuition has saved me from some bad careers over the years, or some bad career situations. But I wish I knew then what I knew now, and also that things work out okay in the end. I mean, we've both had such a journey, but somehow life will unfold as it is supposed to.
Absolutely, agree completely, and yes, I admire the work that you do as well, because in meetings with yourself you come across as being really not just focused, but at the same time caring and giving back. And I think as women in general, we prefer to focus on that side, as well as of course the other, which is the work and the career choices and the money that goes along with it, I suppose,
Mm.
isn't it?
I'm so glad you said that, because the other bit of advice I would give, which is a key part of my speaking actually in my keynotes, is about setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. Because when we're younger, or we're going up the ranks in our career,
Yeah.
we are sometimes scared to push back with our managers or with people that are more senior to us, because we defer to them. But
Yeah.
actually, to be able to progress, we need to maintain our sense of self and our sense of inner power. So while we love to give, we also have to give to ourselves as well. And that was a real lesson that took me many years to learn. I'm still learning it, and I see women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s still not having learned that lesson, and giving too much of themselves as they go along. So for any younger women out there listening, set your boundaries now and set them tight.
Can I just add as well, for any younger women who are progressing through the ranks, I would say be brave and don't be afraid to dream big, because you've got to set your goals really high, and don't let anybody or anything stop you from getting to where you want to be. I grew up in a small city in India, went to a small school, okay, and look at me, I'm dreaming of having my own large training company in the UK. I don't let the place where I grew up or my background or my school or anything else define who I am as a person. Yeah. And I think many women, you tend to hold themselves back if they come from backgrounds that are, deprived or disadvantaged. Then they think they can't quite progress to the ranks of those who are from privileged backgrounds. And also, I think sometimes we tend to lack focus because we get carried away with what our husbands, our kids say to us. We tend to lack our focus. And I think it's so important to focus on that end goal and don't let anything get in the way of it. Of course, while maintaining a work-life balance. And the third thing I would say is try not to be a perfectionist, because we're not superwomen, and it's okay sometimes to take time for ourselves and look after ourselves as well. And it's okay sometimes to just be average at what we do. That's fine.
Absolutely, Lucy. Thank you so much for adding that. I think that's a great final note to say it's okay, let's be kind to ourselves, as well as we're trying to progress. And there will be setbacks along the way. You talked about challenges, there'll be setbacks, but as long as you're learning from them, that is so important. And just to come back to the boundaries thing that I mentioned earlier, I don't have children, I don't have a husband, but I have other demands on my time, whether it's the boards that I sit on, or caring responsibilities for my family, or for my older parents, and all these other kind of pulls on our time. Sometimes we have to carve out that time for ourselves, whether it's to focus on a work goal, or to focus on our rest or our leisure, or whatever else we need that time for. So
I
Lucy,
agree.
any final points before we wrap up?
I think, going back to what you said there, Anj, it struck me as that's the one piece of advice my mum gave me. My mum is no more, so it's quite emotional for me. But she said, if there is one piece of advice I would give you, that is to look after yourself and to make time for yourself, as well as giving yourself to others. So thank you for reminding me.
That is beautiful. I think that's a very beautiful note to end on, Lucy. Thank you. And thank you for sharing that emotion with us as well. It's, you know, wrapping up now, I want to say thank you to Lucy for that. And how we ended just now definitely wasn't planned for, but it just shows that we are human beings and work. It doesn't matter what level we are at or where we are from. We all have something to offer and to give back. And that's what I want to say to all of you listening here today. On a final note, for any support with FAR, we're going to share the links with you at the end of this video, and also the links to Aspire to Lead, which is an amazing programme, part funded by the European Social Fund, which is all about women in leadership for women that live or work in York and North Yorkshire. We'll share details there. If you are fitting in that category, you might be eligible for your small business support to become a network member like Lucy of our fantastic female women business owners around York and North Yorkshire that you can connect with to gain that mentoring and that support. Some of our leadership development training, and any of the other the 12 strands that the Aspire to Lead programme encompasses. So do take a look at the website. It'll follow on the slide following this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anj. Bye-bye for
Bye.
now.